This episode of Rookie Hunter is brought to you by the Wild Sheep Foundation. Sheep Show is coming up soon, January 18th to 20th in Reno, Nevada. Get your tickets now before they sell out. Join the Less Than One Club and become a member of the Wild Sheep Foundation by going to wildsheepfoundation.org. Hello, welcome to episode 143. It's been great to be back. I hope you guys are enjoying the content that we've been posting and the episodes that have been going out. Today on the show, we've got Jesse and Tash from Filter Studios. These guys are great friends of mine. We've done a number of projects together, and we've been in some interesting situations together. You guys have heard me tease the story about us going up to Whitehorse in the Yukon to do some filming. And you're going to hear the story. If you go to our Instagram, you'll see the photo that we discussed. Jesse captured an amazing photograph that is, probably one of my all-time favorite photographs just because of everything that, all the memories that go along with it. So you're finally going to get to hear that story. I've teased it a million times over. And we're also going to talk about Transmission, which you heard Kyle Stelter and I talk about last week on the show. That is a film that came out a little over a year ago. I'm going to post the link again. I put it in the show notes last week. I'll post it again this week. So you can click on that. You can watch it on YouTube for free. And they were kind enough to invite me to do the post-production audio mixing for that one. So I'm very proud to have been a part of it. I'm very proud of the work that those guys did. And the message that this film has put out and continues to share and educate people. Yeah, just overall, just fantastic film. I'm very, like I said, very proud to have been a part of it. But before we get into things, please don't forget to support the Wild Sheep Foundation. They are supporting this show, and they are the ones that made it possible. Head over to wildsheepfoundation.org, become a member. There's multiple tiers for membership. You can join the Less Than One Club. Kelly, Garrett, and I are all in that club still, and happy to be there. And if you're thinking about traveling to Reno, that's coming up real quick, so you better make plans. You can register on the website there. Lots of options for that as well. So wildsheepfoundation.org. But let's get into this one. I really enjoyed this conversation with Jesse and Tash from Filter Studios. So sit back, relax, crack a nice cold beer, and enjoy episode 143. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thanks.
It's good to see you. Hi. How are you?
Like we've never done this before.
When you said we're going to go, you were just like, we're going to go.
We're going,
okay.
Yeah. You bet. We're not wasting any time here. So what's new, fellas?
New since...
I think when we last really talked to Mike was like in the post-production days of Transmission.
This is true.
Oof.
Well, you guys were in Kelowna. We had tacos and tequila.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We had tacos and tequila.
Tash, are you still brewing these days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I'm libating right now.
What do you got on the go?
This is a blended plum and magnolia saison.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like home brewing has come to like a brand new level these days. Like I remember like when I was a kid, like friends of my dad would make like home brew and it was awful.
Yeah.
Have like a layer of shit in the bottom of the bottle and it just wasn't good. But
no, there's been a lot of like, if you think about like the past couple of decades, there's been a lot of like pretty serious homebrew nerding out.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of like, there's a lot of stuff that's happening in home brewing that's kind of propelling the next thing that's coming in commercial brewing.
Right.
Because it's just easier and it's less expensive to screw things up and dump them down the drain if it all goes wrong.
Yeah, but I mean, there's home brewing and then there's what Tash does. I mean,
You've sampled Jesse. I mean, he's doing it right then, or what?
No, I actually don't drink beer. I've been off beer
Oh.
for a long time. Nothing against Tash and what he does. All I'm saying
see.
is that he, as far as you can go without being a fully licensed brewer, he's gone.
Nice.
The dude has a lab at his house. And he's
I've seen
branded the whole thing, and like it's awesome. You should do some like cocktails, Tash, some canned cocktails. Then I can enjoy. Just put a distillery in. It's not that hard, right?
Oh, that's illegal.
Oh, right. Well, you can get a license, right? Anyways, Tash is as he usually does with many things in his life, jumps in with both feet. And what's your you actually have a brewery name and a brand, right, Tash?
Yes, you could find me on Instagram at Get Together Brewing.
I did not know this. I'm going to follow you.
Yeah. It's I actually like when I did kind of my grand opening after I built this like little brew shed, I converted an old tool shed into my little brewery. It's like 98 square feet.
Nice.
I actually had someone reach out to me like the day after I had some friends over as kind of my like unofficial opening. And this woman reached out to me and was like, "Hey, what time you open? I want to pop by with some friends and do a tasting." I was like, "Oh, no, I'm not. This isn't like a commercial brewery. It's just like me in my basement." She's like, "Well, could I still bring my friends over?" I was like, I looked at her Instagram. She's like 21-year-old college athlete and no, I don't think that's okay. You probably should just say no. And yeah.
Nice.
So yeah.
Strong start.
Yeah. Thanks.
Jesse, how about you?
I do not have a brewery.
No.
No, I am just happy as a clam, riding my mountain bike, skiing in the winter, and I'm actually starting to get into surfing now these days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is a very humbling endeavor, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've done a little bit. It beats the shit out of you. Where do you have to go to surf?
Usually West Coast of the island. Go to the mini beaches that Tofino has. I actually did a pretty fun trip earlier this year. We went up. We had to take a water taxi up past Cayuquet off the west coast, way up on the Brooks Peninsula, and we were up there camping on the beach for 4 days and surfing. It was super fun. It was great.
Pretty much just you guys, or was there more people around? Or
no, we were the only ones there. We just had wolf tracks and bear tracks around us, and a lot of garbage on the beach. We actually found a fully sealed, brand new first aid kit. It was like one of those, what do you call them, Ukrainian stacking dolls?
Oh yeah,
babushka.
Babushka. Anyways, it was this first aid kit from Japan that was there.
Wow.
We all kind of took some first aid supplies. It was like legit. Anyways, It was, we were all alone. But a funny story about that. The wind was pretty high one day, so we weren't surfing. So we went on a hike down some game trails that just kind of go along, and we came out to the beach. And we come out to the beach, and it's blue sky, and we're having a good time. And all of a sudden, there's 3 F-18 Hornets that are about 200 feet off the ground, coming straight at us, and just turned and banked right at us. We're like in one of the most remote spots of Vancouver Island.
Huh.
And these 3 F-18 Hornets just buzz us right there. Like our minds are exploding. It was,
I bet.
It was so crazy. But beautiful. So surfing, yeah, it's good, but it'll be a lifelong journey of being humbled and learning how to do it.
Have you surfed anywhere else, like out of BC?
No. That's why I'm very excited to go find some warm water to actually put some good time in. So
nice. I learned to surf on the Big Island, which
nice.
It's a little easier. I mean, it's I've surfed in Tofino as well, which is better because you're dealing with sand rather than coral. Because when you wipe out and you're getting tossed around by a wave and it's just sharp coral underneath you, it just like rocks your world, man. It beats the shit out of you. So I mean, it's a little more forgiving on the island for sure, but.
Yeah, well, they say Tofino's a pretty tough place. It is. Just like there's the washing machine that you have to paddle through to get out there and stuff like that. Yeah. So Yeah, it's funny this time of year. A lot of my friends and a lot of people are, going for the warmth. A lot of people are in Mexico. A lot of people are sending me images and videos of them surfing these nice, calm, consistent waves, and they're getting ahead of me because they're putting in like 2 weeks of consistent surfing.
Yeah,
and
that makes a big difference.
yeah. So, anyways,
Cool.
surfing.
Cool.
It's fun.
Are you doing more photography lately, or am I just seeing more of it?
Yeah, that's what I did before Tash and I started doing film. And quite honestly, I was burnt out from it. I only did 3 years professionally, but like I lived off of it for 3 years and I was just done with it.
What kind of work were you doing?
I did the typical, I started out doing weddings.
Yeah,
I actually didn't mind weddings. But I went through weddings, portrait, and I ended up doing commercial photography and product photography, which was kind of cool to just get in the studio and be refining things and stuff. But I was always a big light nerd, so I like the studio stuff as well. But yeah, ended as a commercial photographer.
Cool.
But yeah, you are seeing more because I'm finally coming out of that burnout. But when we do the kind of things that we do and get to the places that you go, and for me to just kind of like turn on the photography brain is relatively like straightforward. And I don't want to say easy because, photography is not super easy, but when you just recognize you're in some really rare places and doing some really cool things, and it's, you have the ability to share, then I don't know, it just took me like 10 years to get over that burnout and start sharing again. So
yeah, no, you've been posting great stuff, man. So it's cool to see.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. So one thing that maybe we've talked about at some point, but I'm not too sure, is how you guys got into hunting. So Tash, starting with you, how were you introduced to it?
I'm like the kind of, I don't know if it's typical, but a late in life hunter.
Yeah.
I think it was 2014. So I was like just in my late 30s, coming to be 40, and me and Jesse had been in business together since 2012, and we kind of got into it around the same time. And I think we kind of attributed it to a trip that we actually did to Haiti for a job there. That might sound like a weird disconnect maybe, but it was like we came back from that trip and kind of had a bit of like, I don't know, just like angst and this sort of like disconnect between how everyone lived like so impoverished and we would assume that they're all like sad and miserable and hate their lives, but they're actually like an extremely happy people and have a great joy for life and don't really have anything. And then you come home and, you're surrounded by consumerism and all the things and everyone's, depressed and in therapy. So yeah, I just started with conversations and wanting to get back to the land kind of idea. And we got into camping together and fishing. And yeah, one thing just kind of led to another. And we took the course together. Or no, we didn't even take the course. We just did a challenge.
Challenged it.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You guys are hardcore.
Yeah. It was kind of funny. One of our friends didn't study at all. 4 of us, we all went down from Nanaimo to Duncan to write the test. And one of our friends cracked the book in the car on the way down to Duncan and actually got the highest mark of all of us on the test.
Did they give you an overview or anything before you started it, or you just go in there and you write it?
Well, there's like a study guide. At least at the time, there was like a study guide you could kind of look up that said you should focus on this and focus on that. But yeah,
nice.
Yeah, that was kind of what brought us in.
Yeah, this was before the whole online core was available. So old school, pen and paper.
Yeah. I went and wrote it at someone's house at their dining room table, and
yeah, I remember that. That was kind of strange, but it was fine. Just like, walk into someone's house and she was like, okay, yeah, here you go. Yeah. I just remember the thing I remember about doing the core test was the ducks, being stressed out about birds and ducks.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah.
We got there.
So Jesse, same thing for you. Was it that trip that kind of sparked it for you, or you'd been thinking about it before?
That definitely kicked off the adult onset hunter. I mean, I grew up up north. I, did the whole scouts thing as a kid and, did a little bit of hunting here and there, never really with my family, but with some family friends, but nothing too like I never learned anything. I just remember driving around in a small Nissan truck, moose hunting, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the same thing. And I think the Haiti trip really just kicked off for me. Just both Tash and I had some pretty heavy culture shock for like I would say probably 3-4 months.
Yeah, I bet.
Maybe longer. So it was a lot of like self-reflection. And I just remember craving this, like, get back to using my hands and get back to like the stuff that I knew, which was really important. And that just kicked off the whole, okay, fishing. I remember how to fish and get back into it. It's like, oh, it's amazing. I remember Tash and I went on a canoe trip at a lake on the island. And we were just like, this is it, you know, like using hatchets to make ladles, you know, to cook with our cast iron pans. And, you know, it was just like, so that reconnection, and that was really, then we just went deeper and deeper and deeper. So
cool. What was the project in Haiti?
It was a music video.
Oh,
so we had a client come to us that we'd worked with in the past, and they said, they've got this new song. They told us the song, or we listened to the song or something, and they just kind of asked us for ideas. And I think Tash and I were just like, because the artist was Haitian. Her parents were from Haiti. I think she was in Montreal.
Yeah.
Anyways, we were like, oh man, let's get her to Haiti. Let's go there. It was kind of, I don't know what the genre was, Tash, like gospel.
She was like Christian pop or something like that. But the song had this very like kind of summertime, like almost reggae kind of bouncy vibe. And they pitched it to us in February and wanted a music video in March in Nanaimo. And we're like, well,
not the right place.
We can't really pull it off here. So
yeah.
We kind of came back to them, reconsidered their concept, and brought it back to them and pitched them to go down to Haiti. Nice. And they were like, yeah, sure, but we're not going.
Yeah,
and
her parents wouldn't let her go to Haiti.
Yeah.
Oh, so just you guys went.
Make sure you get a security group detail to like follow you around and everything.
Wow.
We did. We got a producer and a fixer.
Yeah.
Down there that pretty much saved Jesse's life one day.
Really?
Yeah. It was like, I remember when that job came up, it was like, hey, let's pitch them to go to Haiti. And they came back, we're like, yes, we love it. We're like, oh, snap. Okay. Shit. I guess and like within a week we had like immunizations in our arms and we're like going. Wow. It was, and yeah, when we were down there, it was, you know, everybody, I guess Haiti's considered a fourth world country because it's so impoverished and so much violence and corruption. And so we definitely had the right people on the ground. We almost screwed ourselves right away. We got out of the airport. We just started walking. We just started walking, and all these cabbie guys were trying to get us to jump in with them and stuff. And finally, our field assistant came, and she's just like, no, get over here, go this way,
get in the van.
Oh man, we almost messed up on step one. Jeez. But yeah, we were just, the crazy thing about there is that they're creative and resilient, and you know, you get there and we kind of had this like Red Cross perspective on what we were going to see, and we get there and there's just people thriving at life in a completely different way than you could imagine without seeing and smelling the stuff that's there.
Right.
But yeah, we were out filming one day, and generally Haitians have a disdain for cameras, mostly because when like the earthquakes hit, everybody, you know, all the organizations got their footage and promised them that they would show Haiti in a good light. And then, you know, all the stuff that came out asking for aid was, you know, basically people sitting around waiting is how they were portrayed.
Okay.
So they really didn't, you know, again, they weren't being portrayed the way that they are. But it's like, you give them, you know, the equivalent of $2 and no problem. You know, so you just have a little tip or whatever. If everybody has any issues, it's like, okay, no problem. We won't shoot, but, you know, give them a couple dollars worth of money and they're fine. And this one, I was filming they called them the tap taps. They're the like buses that are all painted with like cartoon Jesus and 50 Cent and all this kind of stuff. And the big taxi cabs, and they're called tap taps because you tap on the side when you want to stop and get out.
Nice.
And I was just filming them, and this massive Haitian guy just came around the front with a big steel pipe ready to just clobber me. And my fixer, who was, he was probably about 6 foot and probably weighed about 120 pounds. 20 pounds was probably the dreadlocks that he had. But we didn't know actually, but our field producer hired this guy, and he was like what equivalent of like a MTV DJ was, or what were they? DJs, MJs,
VJs.
Yeah. We didn't know that, so he was very popular, and he would just like. So, anyways, he diffused, and they were laughing about it. And I asked him when we got back to truck, I'm like, "Oh yeah, what did he say?" He goes, "Oh, I was gonna kill the guy, and then blah blah blah, and then you showed up, and we're friends now." Whew, okay, cool.
Just like that, eh?
He said he was yelling at Jesse that he was going to kill him, and then this guy, what was his name, Willele, came around the corner and was like, "No, I'm going to kill you," and then the guy just started laughing at him because he's like this little scrawny, like he could have snapped him with one hand, and that was enough to break the tension, I guess. So
so
anyways, that was
good times. Yeah,
that was Haiti.
But yeah, we did the music video. The client loved it. We got back, got all the footage. Got all our gear, but yeah, then it rippled the culture shock of everything for us. So
yeah, I know the feeling. So you guys obviously, did you do your first hunting trips together, and was there like a memorable thing that kind of really like locked it in and established it as something you definitely wanted to do?
There was a guy that we connected with in Nanaimo, and this was back in internet forums when they were a cool thing.
Nice.
Bulletin boards, and the Hunting BC board.
Yeah.
So we'd connected with a guy from Nanaimo in there, and he took us out hunting, and it wasn't really a hunt; it was just kind of scouting, and we saw some elk, and that was kind of cool, and ran into the COs. It was like the only time I've ever been stopped by COs was on a main road there, and then. But the first time that was like an actual like real hunting trip was with Nolan Osborne. He was
Nolan before he was Nolan.
Yeah.
He was still living in my basement at the time, but
nice.
We the three of us went out and ended up getting a bear on like the last day. But I think it was just that first moment of like walking away from the truck, rifle over your shoulder, and just stepping into the bush with like all the nervous tension you could imagine, and knowing that you're kind of becoming a part of the food chain instead of just an observer. Or not even an observer, just like detached from it entirely.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I remember that moment. Like, that is a very specific moment that I draw from. I actually remember like looking down at my boot as it hit the ground, and then thinking, "This is different." Because usually it's like, "Nah, I just don't want bears. I just don't want anything to interact with. I just want to go on my merry way and do my thing." But this time I'm like looking and searching and hoping and trying to figure it out. So just that like first time being immersed into it, and actually, like Tash said, participating in the food chain was like very powerful, and almost like it was just something I was like, I've never felt this before. And I like it.
Yeah. I think it's one of the like noticeable changes that happens once you become a hunter, I think, is you can never walk past a pile of shit without stopping to check it out.
Yeah.
You gotta grab a stick or something and poke at it and like see what's in there, try to figure out what animal it's from, or it doesn't. It's just funny. Like my wife said it one day when we were hiking somewhere. She's like, "You like really like you just have like you're not hunting right now. It's the middle of the summer or whatever." And I was like, "I don't know, but maybe like you never know.
Yeah.
You're still learning.
Always gathering beta."
Yeah, for sure. I remember when I got my first deer, the thing that I was most worried about was field dressing, like just overthinking it. And like, how is this going to go down? And how do I do it? And what if I fuck it up? But the weirdest part for me is like, as soon as I started pulling the hide off, it felt like it was something that I had done like a million times before. Like it felt like such a natural thing to do. And there's kind of that primal instinct. I think that's still in your DNA somewhere. So it was a really crazy experience. And it just felt like the right thing to be doing. I was also worried like if I was going to feel conflicted about taking the life of something, you know what I mean? And it's a very like spiritual and primal thing that comes out of you that's really hard to explain to somebody who hasn't been in that position before.
I said that to Jesse and Nolan on that first trip when we got the bear on the last day, or yeah, I think it was the last day. Just that, like, how quickly, because I was worried about that same thing too. Like, once I pull this thing open, am I going to start fucking puking my guts out and like just being completely disgusted by it? And I was like, it's weird how fast it goes from like kind of looking like a big dog to just being meat on the ground, like not instantly, but pretty fast. And it just like there's just none of that. It just went away. So
I remember a lot of those things that people say about animals and processes when they don't really know what they're talking about. But everybody was telling me like, oh, I hate bear hunting. They look like humans when you skin them. And I was like, well, one, I don't know what a skinned human looks like. And two,
True, yeah.
I've skinned a lot of bears and they don't resemble humans at all. But yeah, the same thing, like that, it just starts to kick in. But I remember like one step further, like when you get back to like start butchering, because I've butchered everything other than a moose that I've got. I remember just being like, I don't know what to do. But then all of a sudden you just start chopping stuff up. And then all of a sudden it starts to make sense. Like, oh, well, this should be a cut here. And then this goes here. But yeah, it's amazing what happens when you just figure shit out.
Yeah, exactly. What did you guys do with that first bear?
Ate it.
Yeah. Did you do anything specific with it though? Or did
no, it wasn't anything to brag to anyone about size wise or anything like that, or maturity even. It was just it was just a little, I don't know, 2-year-old or something.
I think we talked about it on that hunt too, though, Tash, of like, there's so many misconceptions. Everybody's like, oh, no, I won't eat bear, or I won't do this, or it's gross. So I think from that, we wanted to like, don't make any pepperoni. Don't just keep it clean
just
and
taste it,
process it properly and see what it actually tastes like.
Well, and I never, like, getting into hunting, I never really had intentions of hunting bear. I didn't know it was a thing, but we wrote our test in, I think it was March or February. And it was just the first thing that was open. And then it was like, oh, okay. Do I want to hunt bear? Sure. And started doing some research and like found one of those like Alaska Frontier shows, and they were eating bear and making bear chili. And I'm like a super, super into cooking and foodie. So that part I connected with really quickly. And then having these conversations, reading these posts on the message boards. Just people saying what shit meat bear can be and how bad it is and how you need to like marinate it in Pepsi or it's going to taste gross.
Jesus.
That sounds way worse than stanky bear meat.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So we shot that first one and came home, and I think the first thing I made with it was like a slow cooked roast, and made like a blueberry or a blackberry sauce or something like that to go with it, and was just obviously just like blown away by how good it was.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with a coastal bear, you hear that all the time. It's like, oh, they're eating dead fish. They're going to taste like rotten, decaying fish. I mean, obviously that wasn't the case.
No. I think it's a younger bear. It's in the spring instead of the fall.
Yeah.
It was up in a mountain, not down at the water. So, chances were on our side that it was going to be good meat.
Nice.
And,
I still want to get a coastal bear, just kind of see what, because you never know what people
see
say,
how stanky
right?
it can get.
There's so many things like, there's just so many things that people say about stuff, but it's like, I don't know where your baseline is compared to my baseline. And people say, when they say gamey, it's like, I don't believe in the word gamey. It's just the flavor of the animal you're tasting, whether it's, rutted more or not rutted, that's still the flavor of that animal. Right. It's,
sure.
But yeah, that's one thing I'd love to do still is get like coastal bear off the beach that's been eating crab and shellfish for most of its life, and just get my teeth into it.
Only one way to find out. Yeah.
I think one of my biggest lessons or like awarenesses in those early years was that like most hunters, especially like, not to slag anyone specific, but like the old boys that, haven't always played with food. They were, out working and the wives did the cooking, whatever the storyline is. But most hunters just don't know how to cook, and they overcook everything and like dry it way out. And, there's a point where wild meat can kind of start to taste like organ meat if you cook it too much. And so that's something that I think I've just kind of come to like a lot of this stuff that you read online or these conversations you have with older people are just, they're disconnected from that side of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And how are you handling the meat in the field too? That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of things that can go sideways that can taint the meat and give it that, so-called gamey taste if you're not handling things properly. So yeah, there's so many factors, and it definitely bothers me when, everything I've heard that doesn't taste good, tastes good,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've yet to have any wild game that's like, ooh, that's gross,
Caribou's my favorite, and there's lots of people
I was
that
just going to say
won't
that's
touch it. So
my next thing I want to do is caribou, but I was like hesitant because I've heard so many people say it's terrible, but like,
yeah.
I had fresh caribou this year. I was filming a guy that killed one. And yeah, it was supposed to be, I think the thing this year with most of the ecosystem here in BC is that everything's like 2-3 weeks behind. So we were supposed to be kind of right in the rut, but I think the bull that he killed, it didn't smell ruddy when we were butchering it, and we cooked it up that night, and it was like, he had fresh sheep meat at camp too. It doesn't compare to fresh stone sheep, but it was probably my number 2 game meat I've ever had. So
what's number 1?
Sheep, stone sheep.
Really?
My gosh. You know what? I went on my first sheep hunt this year. And there's a long story behind that on what happened on that hunt, but I didn't come home with a sheep. And I kind of thought like, man, if I kill a stone sheep, am I going to be done? Like, I don't know if I want to kill another one.
Right.
But after tasting that stone sheep this year, I'm like, damn, this meat, it would keep me hunting stone sheep every single year.
Interesting.
It was just the very best, some of the best meat in general that I've ever had. Probably because we were at like a caribou moose camp, so we weren't eating that bad. But usually when you're eating freeze-dried meals for a week and you have a slice of a grouse, you almost cry. So
yeah. Totally. Yeah.
There's something about that in eating in that environment though, like given the right conditions, and eat more can be the best thing you've ever had in your entire life.
Yeah.
That's true.
You know what I mean? It's just like you've been on like this like head down grinding hike for 4 hours, and you finally get to sit down and you found some fresh water and the sun came out and it stopped raining. And
oh yeah.
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 I've had too many of those moments this year.
Was it a fly-in hunt or
for the caribou?
For the sheep?
Oh, for the sheep, yeah. We flew in. He's
not going to give you the GPS.
No, that's okay.
I will, because everybody's on. Well, you know this well too, Mike. Like we get there, 2 days before. Okay, so we book our plane and our lake in January. We're like,
where did you fly out of?
We flew out of Whitehorse.
Okay. That's all I'm going to ask. I was just curious.
My buddy works up there. The original plan was he had a friend with a float plane that was, anyways, it didn't work out. We booked the plane 2 days before we fly out. They go, hey, just so you guys know, we flew 3 guided hunting parties into your lake. So you might want to reconsider. So it was like this absolute shit show of trying to figure out where to go because everybody's everywhere. This is sheep opener. Everybody's on every lake. And so it's like, well, let's choose a lake. My buddy knew one lake that he'd been to before. And it was like, we're out of time. Let's just go here and get there. And yeah. So we get to the lake and the outfitter's plane's in the lake. So we're like, fuck. But it's our only spot. So
it's such a gamble, man, because the fly-in hunt that we did, we were running into weather. And we were flying a little bit further, had to go over like a pretty big mountain pass to get where we needed to go.
Yeah.
And every time we would get to it, we only went in there once, but we had to keep turning around, right? And they just kept telling us like, we can't get past it, right? So even though we tried, so we came back, we're like, fuck, we're like, what are we going to do? Because they're like, well, you could look at a different lake. And we're in the office at where the planes are there, looking at this huge map. And we're just like, should we just huck a fucking dart at this thing and just go for it or what? Because we didn't have anybody with us that knew, like, try this lake or try that one.
Exactly.
Like, fuck. But anyways, it all worked out. We had to wait another day or something like that. But yeah, it's such a, you just never know when you get there, how many people are going to be there. And
that's right. We had weather too. Like we flew in and we were dodging thunder and lightning cells. the pilot essentially like booted us out of the plane and said, I gotta go.
Oh,
There was
really?
no like, can we go somewhere else? It was like, land, see you later, go.
Oh, jeez.
Anyways.
Yeah. That's always a good moment when the plane takes off and you can't hear the engine anymore, and it's just you and
Yeah.
your backpack, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's cool. So that was this year.
That was
you
this
flew
year.
out.
That was
Nice.
man, like it was my first sheep hunt, my officially first sheep hunt. And it was definitely solidified that like I not only like love to be out there, but I feel like I'm like thriving out there. Not that I'm like a badass hunter or whatever.
No, I know
but
what you mean though. Yeah, yeah.
I just feel like I should be there. And it's also nice. I realized this as we got through a busy season of filming, that it's like nice. Like you get that hunt done early, and then it gets into busy season with filming TV shows and filming all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, sheep hunting is it's definitely my cup of tea.
Yeah, nice. Tash, how about you? Did you get out on any epic adventures this year? Or?
No.
Hard no.
I haven't. I don't think I've hunted a day yet this year. I was just talking to my wife this evening. I'm like, fuck, I need to get out for at least like a couple local day hunts and try to get blacktail or something. But
it's the 28th of November right now, Tash. Just FYI.
Perfect. Just hitting the peak.
Prime time.
It is. There are a lot of deer dropping right now.
Nice.
Go find a doe on a farm or something.
There you go.
I'm not picky.
Yeah. Previous years, though, you get any epic hunts, the sheep or anything like that?
I haven't done sheep. That one hasn't bitten me yet. It's I don't know what it is. Goats. I'm more into the Portman sheep. Cool. I mean, I've only done it once, but that was by far my most memorable hunt, I think. And something I definitely want to do again. Different locations, maybe different times of the year, and kind of see what it's about. But
I'm sure Nolan will take us winter goat hunting.
Nope. I'm not doing that hunt ever.
I think he tries every year to find someone.
I've heard enough about that one.
Yeah, I don't want to do that either.
If you ever want to know about that hunt, talk to Pete Gucci.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's been there.
Yeah, so
no.
I would love to do caribou. That's probably top of my list.
Yeah,
Caribou and antelope are probably like speed goats. Are probably
Where would you go for antelope?
I started talking to a buddy that lives in Calgary, and he's like, "Don't come to Alberta.
Okay.
It's like you start applying now. It's going to take you like 10 to 12 years before you're ever going to get pulled."
Well, unless you want to you could do a guided hunt. Like I know Silver Sage does amazing pronghorn hunts there, but that's not always in the pocketbook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, he said like Wyoming or Utah is kind of your best bet for like realistic opportunities, but finding the land to hunt on, I guess in those states can be the bigger challenge.
Were we talking with Gray about going to Montana, Tash?
I thought it was Wyoming.
Oh, was it Wyoming?
I think
they all blend together down south there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Link me up on that one.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, because I know Gray, I think he lived in Cody for a while, Wyoming.
Yeah. Well, that's
cool down there, man.
Gray's an amazing guy, and he just knows so much. Like, yeah. If we ever go down there, he's like, he's very passionate about carp fishing, so he'd love to take people carp fishing, which is kind of funny. But yeah, he invited us. Like he basically said, if you ever want to come down, like he's got spots and stuff. So
very cool
to figure out the tags. But it's kind of funny that we have better opportunity for a speed goat down south than we do in Alberta. So.
Totally, yeah. I want to transition into some film stuff. I've kind of been out of the loop on what you guys have been working on lately. Any notable projects over the last year that you guys are excited about? I thought you froze there.
As soon as you say that, it's just like you start trying to rewind on like everything that we've done in the last year.
I know.
Like, oh shit, I don't even know what.
Yeah.
I think we're like at the very early stages of kind of a next wild sheep documentary. Funnily enough, it kind of seems to be becoming our specialty, but it's so early that we can't go too far into it yet. But it's just a story about a small herd that's kind of being threatened by an outside influence.
Interesting.
Not related to Moby.
Yeah.
Did I just write the trailer? I think I just wrote the trailer.
Wow,
Is
yeah.
this fiction or nonfiction?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. That's what we have to figure out.
That's the line that we skirt as professionals. Yeah, no, we've been doing lots of stuff in the sheep world. A lot of work with the Wild Sheep Society.
Yeah.
The one that's we're just wrapping up right now is this. And the society has so many projects and so many things on the go, and they put so much money on the mountains. Well, no, it's not just mountains. It's just so much money
on the
everywhere.
landscape.
On the landscape.
There you go.
That's where their money goes. Communications is so important with nonprofit work. And so we've got lots of projects going on with them. A lot to help them out and just communicate that message and communicate. I mean, that's why I'm quite happy to be, niched in this wild sheep world. Not that it is our niche, but we're doing lots of work in there because there's so many good stories. You know this, Mike. There's so many good, passionate people that really care. As filmmakers and as storytellers, the most important thing is having good characters. And when you're dealing with people that care, they're kind of that passion over profits mentality. And when they care that much, it helps you tell a more meaningful story. And so that kind of conservation realm is full of that. Actually, we did do a really fun one. We filmed it so long ago we did a spring bear film with Renee Thornton and Rebecca Peters, the Women Hunt program and Women Shaping Conservation Programs. And it was it's a really cool film. We're premiering it at Sheep Show down in Reno. Are you coming, Mike?
I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I'm waiting to hear on some dates for work. I'm on hold at the moment, but I want to come. So
you mean you'll be there?
Are you guys going? This will be a little more.
We're going to road trip. I think this year.
Road tripping, really?
Yeah. I haven't been. Last time I went there, I came home with COVID, and I'm like 99.9% sure I was the first person. I was patient zero to have COVID. Well, me and Jesse at the same time.
Nice.
Well, nothing was.
Basically, we brought it to Canada. You're welcome.
I remember coming home from that trip and being very sick.
I haven't been back. I haven't been back since.
But we will be.
It scared me enough.
Actually, I know the Wild Sheep Foundation is a sponsor of the podcast, so it's good to plug their stuff.
Totally.
This year at Sheep Show, they've got, I think they're calling it Full Curl Cinema. Anyways, just this, a room that's got movies and stuff going the whole show. Tash and I will be there to kind of host and be a part of a panel for transmission. I know Renee and Rebecca will be there presenting it's called Beyond Bonds, is the bear hunt film that we did with them. We'll be there too, I'm sure. I'm sure we could answer any questions about filming. But yeah, it's just this really cool concept of this conservation world is full of communication and really good films, not just by us, but by a lot of very talented filmmakers.
Absolutely.
There's such good stories that they've got this thing going the whole show. So come on down to the Sheep Show in Reno and meet Tash and I, and Mike will be there signing autographs.
Nice. $5. Not
$5. Oh, what you going to charge?
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to talk to you guys about transmission, and it feels kind of late, but it's still a very relevant topic. And has it been out for close to 2 years now? Year and a half?
I just saw on my own Instagram or whatever, a memories thing came up not that long. I finished the edit. We finished the edit last April, a year ago, April.
Gotcha. Okay.
Was when the edit was done. So then by the time it started trickling out, it showed at Banff, which was a year and 2 weeks ago.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I just checked the society's Wild Sheep Society BC's YouTube channel, and we premiered it 8 months ago. So that was the full public release. Okay,
I talked to Kyle last week, and I said that it had been out for about a year. He said, no, it's been out for 2 years. I'm like, oh man, time's really flying. But
he's been involved in it for a lot longer.
Yeah. I mean, these things, have a life of their own before
We
they
actually
come out.
started that project like pre-COVID. That was kind of the crazy thing with it, right? Like COVID obviously screwed it all up and like stretched out the timeline a lot. But
Do you
man.
think by having to stretch it out, it kind of made it better in some
we
ways?
had those.
Yeah, for sure.
Me, Tash, and Dan had that conversation as we were, from a ton of reasons. One, the ability to capture a story and to show an evolution of that amount of time. Projects don't usually have the goals or capabilities or budgets to do that.
Yeah.
Not that this had an unlimited budget, but it was just, it was paused and on hold and we'd pick it back up and see where things are at. But we, like Ellie, who's the daughter of Jen and Trevor in the film, we actually see her grow up and we see her change throughout things happening. So it was, and also like a big thing was like PCR. Like they use PCR machines in the field for this thing, but like you say that now and nobody, so we could just skip all that, like bringing people on board of what this meant and why it was important. So we could, focus on the heart of the story as opposed to like the information you need to know to understand the heart better. So there were a lot of good benefits. And I was actually talking to Kyle this past weekend at a meeting and said, I remember the time when we sat down and we showed him, we showed Chris Barker, and we showed Kyle's wife, the like very, 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 very rough. We had a whole scene in there that was just a black screen that we needed to shoot. And
I think I might have seen it at that point too.
Yeah, it was just text. Like, this is what all these shots are going to be.
Yeah.
We just haven't got them yet.
Yeah, exactly. And I just remember the tears in the room, and it was like, okay, good, truth, because our whole team put everything into this film, and so it
was kind of funny because like watching, for us, being able to watch a film with a client or whatever and being able to see their reactions at moments is super valuable.
Yeah,
it says a lot more often than what people are able to articulate.
For sure.
In this case, we were sitting in front of everybody and had our backs to them, so we couldn't, we didn't have that opportunity. But just like right at the key moment, you hear the sniffles starting. Right.
Success.
Like, well, and then
fist pump. Yeah.
After we got it all finalized, we went through the festival circuit. So not only like festivals, but also private screenings. And I toured that thing around for a year. And it was just, by the end of it, I couldn't figure out a way to do it, but I just wanted a chair at the back to have my back to the screen and just look at everyone's faces as it happened. But typically I'd always go to the back and just like, I'd want to watch, and you could see the best part. And my favorite is, when we show it at these old boys clubs and these like, hard dudes that are there, whether they're at a banquet or something, and you get to the emotional parts and they start squirming in their chair and they have a drink and they just don't know what this weird feeling is inside them. And they try to squirm it out. And it's like, that's emotion. But it really, you know what? Tooting our own horn or whatever, I'm pretty proud of that film, but it's still relevant. It's still being used. The society just showed it at with the Wildlife Society at UVic, and just really good reception. Like the biggest thing that I said when I was touring the film is the success of the screening in the film is the level and engagement of conversation that happens in that room afterwards.
Yeah. And
it's still hitting. It's still creating a lot of good conversation. It's still sharing that message. For us, it's like, we've seen it so many times and heard so much about it, put so much work into it. But the fact that it's still hitting for a lot of people means a lot.
Yeah. I've worked on a lot of films over the years, and some of them you finish them and you don't really think about them again. But that one, man, that's one, I think about and talk about all the time. I'm very proud to have been a small part of it. I mean, I didn't influence the film in any way, but I got to work on it. Yeah. And I'm super proud of the work that you guys did and the message that it's put out there, and the fact that it's going to be relevant for a long time. And I think it's already made change. And you guys did exactly what you set out to do. And yeah, great work. So
Yeah.
congrats.
And I think
it was one of those things that I really remember is just being, the at the time we called it capture and call scene. They call it
don't
test
call it
and
that anymore.
remove.
Test and remove.
something else now. Test and remove. But at the time, that was like one of the first things we'd shot. We'd shot the Briscoe farm, Jen and Trevor's farm being moved, and then that testing scene was kind of the next thing. And it was just like the heft of all of those moments over those first 3 days, or those 3 days that we spent up there, was just like, there's no way that there isn't a huge emotional, deep film here that's going to come out of this. So it was, it was a really big moment. And when you're in that, you know that there's no way that you can't create something good out of it.
Yeah.
Right. You're just gotta have to like kind of stand back. Don't let your ego get in the way and just let it tell itself.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
And I think just for your listeners, Mike, and the audience that don't know, you did all of the mixing and mastering and post-production of our audio, which is why it sounds so good at the screenings. I was very, very passionate, and I still am passionate about having good audio, especially at those screening events. You know, when somebody shows up with a laptop and a projector, and I'll cancel a screening before I'll show it like that. But having good audio, and I tell this to other filmmaker friends who want tips and stuff, and audio just seems to be always the like, oh yeah, whatever. Like the last, everybody's obsessed with glass and sensors and dynamic range and blah, blah, blah. It's like, bro, shoot with your phone and a good mic and you can make a film.
The audio is always at the bottom of the budget, and it should be at the top. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a sound guy, but that's where it should be.
No, but matters. I agree. I've learned that through it's man, it's just so passionate. I'm so passionate about it because it can make or break.
Yeah. The test and remove scenes were so much fun to work on with the helicopters and stuff like that, trying to enhance all those sounds. I put quite a bit of sound effects into that.
I heard
not
it
that
all.
To change it or like make it more dramatic or anything, just to kind of add to what it would have been like to be there. So that stuff is a lot of fun, obviously. And I'm yet to see it on a big screen and big speakers and stuff. So hopefully at some point I'll be able to see it somewhere.
Come on down to Reno.
I guess you're showing it there.
Yeah, so we are.
I guess I have to. Yeah.
Well, then we'll get you up on stage. You can be part of our Q&A panel.
All right. $5 an autograph.
$5.
Okay, boys. Well, we're blasting through an hour pretty quick here.
Oh, geez. Yeah, we are.
So it's funny because I've teased the Whitehorse story a lot over the years. Prior to like taking a break from this, and we actually got an email like maybe 2 weeks ago, and somebody was asking about it. So people are still wondering what the hell happened up there because I talked about it so much. And we've done a couple of cool projects, both of them for one campfire. And I feel like the story that was happening off camera in both situations was way more epic than what we were sent up there to do. In Alaska, we were having like boat problems. We had a flight to catch in 2 hours or whatever it was. And, it seems like disasters.
The mosquitoes on that trip. With
we had 24-hour sunlight too, and
Heather and Brad.
That was a good one. But Whitehorse, like how vivid is that experience for you guys?
Dude,
that was in 2019, I think.
That's not going away. That's taking.
It's one of those experiences that you go through those, whether it's a long hike or you get stuck somewhere, and it just like it expands your tolerance and like capability level. That's what that trip did, for sure.
We'll set it up. I want to hear how you guys remember this.
Well, the three of us were the film crew to go up and film with Carl Blattman, very well-known filmmaker, photographer now. Before he was just getting started. We seem to know all the guys before they get started. We're like, is that a hipster mentality?
We're the hipsters, yeah.
But yeah, we're going up to Whitehorse to film. Carl's got a really interesting story. He, was going to school. He was at UVic, and he was always had this like internal morals or ethics. And, he was a vegan, pretty hardcore vegan. And just, kind of, I'm not sure. I can't remember how. Tash, do you remember how he got up to Whitehorse? Was it work or something?
No, I don't really remember what it was that pushed him up there, but
he was working for a government agency up there.
Yeah. I think it was the job that got him up there from Victoria after he finished school. And then he was, had this moment of reflection of, trying to hold on to his veganism up in Whitehorse. I think it was it a bell pepper?
Yeah.
Or
it was the red pepper.
Red bell pepper that came from like Holland or something. And he's like, this makes no sense. Like,
probably cost him like $23 for one.
Well,
pepper.
I don't know if it was the cost of it, Tash. I think it was more the ethics of it.
Thought of how far
how many planes were burning, how much fuel just to bring him his precious little pepper.
Yeah.
Whereas like everybody's has moose meat everywhere and potatoes and all this kind of stuff. So anyways, he had a really interesting story of this shift. And so we were going to go, or we did go, and tell this story of how he went from being a vegan to becoming a hunter. And anyways, we go up there and it's, I can't remember, was it February-ish that we were up there?
Yeah.
So
mid-February, maybe?
It was
like
very cold.
-20-ish.
I remember that feeling of, I think we were -30. Because Carl's like, oh yeah, so we had to set up a bunch of scenes where, not fake scenes, but just like, oh, we'll go out for a walk and we'll get you kind of walking around and contemplating life. And then we do this kind of stuff. And then one of them's like, well, let's, it would be great to get you, in your hunting gear. And can we go out and just do some hunting? We don't actually have to kill anything or show. It's just like you out hunting. And his buddy Mark had a bison tag. So he had a snowmobile and we rented another snowmobile and said, okay, well, let's head out for the day. Just get some footage, get some photos. And, if we see a bison, that's great. But like really no pressure at all. Like us getting footage of you glassing is check, day done. So, we're out for a day. That's the plan. And I
want to go back a little bit though to that very first morning. When we did some kind of B-roll shots with him, we got up
like when we went for a jog,
first light kind of thing there, and like all of our eyelashes are frozen, and that was kind of like, Jesus, what did we get ourselves into? Because I don't think I'd ever felt cold like that.
No, and I think insane. we had the red camera back then, and I think it was shutting down, or it was giving us errors. There were nothing should be out.
It wasn't
in those
happy.
But. Yeah, so when we went out on the snowmobiles, I remember when we got out of the truck and we're unloading the snowmobiles, I remember making eye contact with Tash from one of you guys. And I was like, this is like actually not feasible. Like it is so cold that this can't happen. Like, and then Mark went to Tash. He's like, I got some triactin in the truck. He's like, yeah, I'll have some. And he's like, triactin like a man. So that was pretty funny.
I remember the day before we left, we were kind of going through our gear and like, do we have the right stuff for this? Because I think we were starting to worry a little bit. So I think I called or texted Corey Pearsall from Sika Gear and told him what the temperatures were and what we had. He's like, I'm pretty worried about you guys' legs because we had down jackets and everything, but we were just wearing like layers with the like rain gear on top, right?
It's just a day hunt. It'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So hopped on those sleds and went for it. I mean, the day was beautiful.
It was gorgeous.
It was pretty incredible, and actually felt pretty okay being on the snowmobile. Like Corey was right. My legs were cold, but felt okay otherwise.
Yeah, the little toe, where your toes go into the engine cowling. That was a lifesaver. That was like, that calmed me down too. I was like, okay, I think we're going to be okay. But yeah, it was a beautiful day. We got great footage, got everything. And then sure enough, like 5:00, what does Carl do? Carl and Mark spot bison. Like, oh, great. This is going to happen right
Here's the plan. We're just going to leave the snowmobiles here, run 10 kilometers across this lake, up that mountain, and shoot one.
Yeah.
At sunset.
Well, I mean,
I remember it's that feeling of like, great, this is perfect. This is what we came here for, but also like, fuck,
yeah, exactly.
I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we that was the plan. I mean, yes, Carl walking is everybody else running. So like we track down, we see where the bison are across the lake. We get to where they're feeding, and we're just like slowly spot and stalk, just walking up on them, gaining ground. And then sure enough, right at pretty much last light, I remember Mark dropped down to one knee, and I poked over, and you could just see the horns and the big bison head. He was probably 50 yards. I don't even know if he was 50 yards.
Yeah.
But he
threw a bunch of little like
brush
boulders,
yeah.
brush or something. Yeah.
And then so Mark was, and he's very capable. He said he had a good shot. He said maybe hit some brush, but he felt good about the shot. 'Cause I remember he took the shot, and then it was, I think there were 5 or 6 of them, and then they just went like head to toe, and just like a train like took off around us. I just remember like as they.
Yeah, I remember that very, very clearly, because everything that I had was wireless, so I was down below you guys, so I didn't actually see them at all up top there.
Oh yeah,
you guys were following them with the camera, so I was kind of hiding out
Just
down
heard
below.
the train.
And then all of a sudden they start, after he took the shot, start running down, and they were kind of coming towards me, this train of them, like one after another. And I remember this one like looked over at me, and it had this look of like, I could fucking kill you if I wanted to,
smokes.
just like, and they were coming like not right towards me, but close enough where I was kind of shit my pants, because like, what are they going to do if like, they're probably not happy right now, right?
I'm not even going to slow it down.
Yeah, but the sound of them, man, I couldn't even recreate it in the mix that I did, but the ground was just like rumbling. It was like, this low frequency rumble, and they're just smashing through this brush, and logs and twigs were just like breaking, and the power of them was just like nothing. That's the first time I'd ever seen a bison in the wild.
Yeah, me too.
Coming straight at me, and just I was terrified and also in awe of how amazing they were, man.
Yeah.
Actually, one campfire just a week ago, I'm just looking at the Instagram now, they posted the shot as Carl was like, let's go across the lake.
Yeah, with the little sun peeking over his shoulder.
Yeah, with the sunburst coming over and his rifle sticking up, and you can see the mountains on the other side of the lake. And
so the bison take off, and Mark's pretty confident in the shot, and we go down the tracks, and we see a little bit of blood, just a faint little, like almost a dusting. It's like, okay, there's blood. Let's see. And I remember we tracked them into the dark for a long time, but there was no obvious, like Carl was saying, like if one was injured critically, it would have broken off and gone and tried to find a place to lay down, and but they were hanging out close together, and we were on foot for like an hour, and then we just had
and then 2 of them went back across the lake to get the machines and bring them back.
I forgot about that.
And then we got the machines, and then we flipped the machines like 8 fucking times going up that mountain. And then
because there's no trails.
And then and then we tried to track them on the machines for a while, and Carl was like, "No, this isn't working. We got to go on foot again."
Yeah, and then I remember we stopped. Well, before when they got the machines, I remember Mike and I were walking back eating snow because we had no water, we had nothing. We're like, it was getting long at that point. And then Carl just stopped and just started talking to Mark. He's like, "Yeah, go over there, blah blah blah," and right here. And we're like, "What are you talking?" He's like, "Yeah, go start grabbing some wood, blah blah blah." We're like, "Oh, okay, this is weird." It's like, well, why don't we
Mark
just head back to
knocking trees over like a...
Oh, I know, like a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
But I was like, day's done. Like, let's go home. He goes, "Nope." Said,
"Nope, we're staying."
He goes, "No, we're staying."
What?
Okay, we had no tent, no sleeping bags,
what?
No food. We're out of water. Like, we had nothing.
When you say we're staying, like, what's... And that's the funny thing is, like, the 2 guys from the Yukon are probably just like, "What? We're just hunting fucking bison. This is just how you do it." And we're like, "Oh my God, we're gonna die."
Yeah, and
that's the only thing that made me feel like slightly comfortable is that they were so calm.
For sure. Me too.
So like, all right, well, I'm shitting my pants. I mean, I remember like the 3 of us making eye contact, like, what the fuck is going on here?
I've never camped,
but they were just like, "Yeah, this is what's happening."
Not only not
like,
camped without a tent, but not camped without a tent, without a sleeping bag, in minus 35. minus 35, open sky.
Yeah.
It was just like, yeah. So anyways, we found a spot, we were blah, blah, blah. And we kind of set up some sticks and branches for us to lay on and sit on. And Carl had a pot and we got a fire going. You know, if we didn't have a fire, we would have died. That's for sure. But,
yeah, 100%.
Got a fire going, so it was melting.
That is
water.
the bonus. That is the bonus about up there, is that the wood is so fucking
It's dry,
dry
yeah.
that you can actually just light a
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah. I remember when he was boiling water and he was saying, I can't remember, we were talking about sticks and stuff in the water. And Carl was just like, you know.
Yeah, I just couldn't figure out why he wanted it so dirty.
Yeah, and he just said, you know
I
what?
just want
There's
some clean
people-
fucking water, man.
But we survived it.
Mike's, do you want to use? Do you want to use my filter? Here, you can use my coffee filter.
I think he actually had
Got a life strong.
maybe one mountain house, or Mark had one in their snowmobile.
I think there was one like double meal or something that we
We
all
had
shared.
some
Yeah.
spoonfuls from. But I mean, yeah. So the MO of the night was,
Speaking of spoonfuls,
yeah, the MO of the night was
Yeah.
to keep the fire going. But five guys spooning in the bush was, I mean, it was critical. We all had our little spoon positions, and then
I was on the outside of the spoon, by the way, so I got
you were. I
short
was
end of the
between you
stick.
and Tash, I think. But you know, you probably, I think I last, like, you can maybe get 20 minutes of sleep, and then you get so cold you stand up and go to the fire and warm back up, make sure it's stoked, and then lay back down. But I remember,
basically it was like, whoever was cold put wood on the fire.
Exactly.
So that thing stayed lit all night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that when I decided to start taking some photos was, I always tell this story, Mike, like I was laying there and I remember just looking over the ridge of my buddy's back as I was spooning him, and the Aurora Borealis was just firing. And I was like talking to myself, I'm like,
the way the northern lights were glistening off your thigh.
It actually was. But I had some internal dialogue. I'm like, you have to get up and take a photo. You have to get up and take a photo. And it took me a while, but I finally did, and took some of those photos.
Unreal, man.
And it would just, it's good to have that memory, because, we have that internal, like, okay, our, spending the night out there was like elevated our capacity for what we could take, and to have some photos from that. I still love it. I love those photos.
Oh, I look at that photo often, man. It's amazing. You know it's funny, man, is sometimes with nighttime photography like that, with editing, you can kind of make it look cooler than it actually was. Sometimes, you can make the stars pop and stuff. But I remember standing out there and looking at the stars, and it was almost like you were just at the edge of space. I'd never seen stars so clear, and the Northern Lights. It was just next level, man. So, I mean, if I had died that night, I mean, at least it was pretty.
At least
epic.
it was beautiful. And then we made it through the night, and then had the biggest cinnamon buns.
The cinnamon buns.
They were like the size of pies.
They were like 12-inch diameter. All the carbs that we didn't get the day before that we should have had.
But we made it. We survived.
I remember waking up, and it was just starting to get light out, and I'm like, hey, what time is it? Someone's like, it's 5:30 or something. I can't remember what time it was. Like, fuck yeah, we survived, because it was just like the longest night ever, and it was just
High
like,
fives,
are we gonna survive? Are we gonna survive? Like, this is getting colder and colder and colder. We should mention that the two of them went and tracked for, I don't know, maybe another couple hours or something, and they just
us three pansies were so exhausted. We just stayed back at camp.
Stayed and cuddled
and comforted each other. And then they went off and picked up basically where we left off, but with daylight. And like I said, Carl said the same things. Like, the blood disappeared and they all stayed together and kept going. So
that all worked out. They're tough animals, obviously, and if he must have just grazed it or whatever, and it was not
it could, I think. And those things suck up bullets, a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that was quite the trip. I remember because we were again flying out the next day, another one of those situations where we're rushing to get out of there. And I remember when we got to the airport, I think we were in Vancouver at that point, and we were waiting for our flights. You guys were going back home. I was going back to Kelowna, and the three of us were just like silent. It was just like kind of like just taking it all in. And I remember it just felt so weird to be sitting in an airport knowing that, like, 12 hours earlier, or 14 hours, we were sleeping out in minus 30, like wondering if we were going to survive. And I actually kind of like felt uncomfortable being around people and stuff.
Yeah,
it was
that
wild,
kind of
man.
culture shock, right?
Just
Yeah. It's always interesting how the brain turmoils with that stuff when, like, once you get back to civilization.
Yeah, it takes a while, man. Yeah.
Is maybe not as civilized as the wild is.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember my girlfriend at the time being like, "What's wrong with you?" She's like, "You're just kind of weird since you got back."
You
I'm
haven't
like,
talked for
I
3
don't
days.
even know what
Why
to
are you
tell
sleeping
you.
on the floor without any blankets?
Yeah.
With the
Well,
fridge
I mean,
outside.
and to kind of bookend that, like, that's what Haiti was times a lot more. Like, imagine that feeling
Mhm.
for months. And that was like difficult internally. I think Tash and I were the only ones that could understand each other in that time. Like, I remember it was tough for my wife to understand what was going on too.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just that. Yeah,
You
culture
can't
shock.
really put it into words.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Cool, boys. Well, this was a lot of fun. Are you guys going to be in Penticton for Hot Sheep Society BC?
Yes, we are.
What are they calling it now?
We'll be in Penticton for the Salute to Conservation and the new Mountain Hunting Expo.
There we go.
And
Nice.
I'm going to sign Tash up for volunteers, so he'll probably be your registration guy, the
Nice.
fun face you'll see.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like that.
Perfect. Cool. Well, I'm apparently helping with the podcast booth, so I'll be there.
Yes, there'll be a podcast booth. That's great.
Yeah. Should be fun, and most likely going to see you guys in Reno. So look forward to that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, appreciate.
Say that now.
Yeah. Well, no, I want to. That's the thing. I just got to wait and hear what's going to happen with this. Fucking filmmakers just putting me on hold. Story of my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a lot of fun, guys. Appreciate you coming on. We'll have to do it again sometime soon. And hopefully another epic adventure with you guys at some point would be awesome. So I'll wait for the call.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for a while.
Thanks, Mike. This was fun.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah, totally.
Appreciate it. Well, there you go. Jesse and Tash. Love those boys. Glad we finally got to do this. It's been a long time coming. Again, I posted the link to Transmission. Would love it if you guys check that out if you haven't already. Make sure you share it. There's a lot of people that are unaware of this disease and how it is transmitted from domestic sheep into wild sheep. So education is key, as we all know. Hey, if you guys want to help us out, I know. I ask this all the time. But please leave us a rating and a review, especially in iTunes. You can do both there. If you're listening on Spotify, you can leave us some stars. We'd love to see 5. And yeah, if you have any questions, comments, feedback, you can send that to us. Our email address is info@therookyiehunter.com. And you guys are being shy, man. I don't know what I need to do to convince you to send in some voice questions. Again, if you want to do that, just record a voice memo on your phone and email it to us. Again, info@therookyiehunter.com. If you want to follow us along, we'd love to have some more Instagram followers. Our handle is Rookie Hunter Podcast. Search us, you'll find us. And you can kind of see some of the imagery behind these stories and see what we're up to. And don't forget, wildsheepfoundation.org. Sheep Show is coming up real quick, so don't forget to register before it's too late. And we'll be back next week, Wednesday, with another episode. So we'll see you then. Cheers.